Okay, it's coming in. Hey guys, thank you for joining us. I have Margaret in the studio with me, and we are excited to see her, to spare some time to be with us today and to help us clear some questions that most Ugandans, mostly in the US, have been asking on social media, in WhatsApp groups. So if you guys are there, I have a few of the questions most people have sent me. And they would like to have some answers. Of course, we can read about these things online, but it's very easy for us to answer. And if we have Margaret here, she definitely has to answer them. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Grab a cup of tea where we are. It's chilly. That's why you see Margaret in a hoodie. Of course, it's an official hoodie. It's like it has
and it's very warm.
It's very warm. Yeah, I see it has the Ugandan coat of arms on the chest there, so that's very official. So Margaret, thanks for joining us. Please introduce yourself to anyone who's watching.
Thank you, Brenda. Hello, everyone. My name is Margaret Kafero. I am a counselor in charge of public diplomacy. I also handle communication at the Embassy of Uganda. And I've been there for 2 years now. This month, I'm up 2 years. And I'm happy to be here, happy to answer questions, happy to receive them. Yes.
Cool.
Greetings,
Margaret,
by the way, greetings from all my colleagues who can't all be here with me. I'm hoping that by answering these questions, I'll reduce on the load of work that's coming into them on the other side.
So how is the embassy like now? Is it fully functioning? I remember last year, of course, it was closed because of COVID. Were you guys working remote? How have things changed for you guys?
Yes, last year we were working remote completely. That was when DC shut down. Mm-hmm. And we pick our guidance of how to open and close from the level of how much the State Department has opened. State Department has been on about 30% now. We work remotely 2 days a week.
Okay.
And we are in 3 days a week, which is Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
And we, even on the other days, if you do have an appointment, you can come in.
Okay.
But the days when we let in more people is Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
And Thursdays. Okay. Are you trying to make more people do the appointment of things? Does that help you a lot?
Yes. The reality of COVID is that you can't really have people walking in and out of a place anymore.
Yeah.
But also, in general, in trying to be efficient in giving services, things need to be a bit more predictable, both for the client, or the applicant in this case, and for the service provider. A lot of our consular services take a long time. Things like national ID enrollment, it's not a short process by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
The average time is 45 minutes or an hour for a client. So, and there's only 8 hours.
Right. Yeah.
In a day. So you don't want someone flying in from Alaska or wherever it is to sit there for 6 hours waiting for their turn. So now we've been taking people in small, manageable doses, and hopefully, and we've been promised this, when we get more machinery and more efficient machinery, we'll be able to do more people faster. So we shall be able to open up a bit more.
Okay, that's good. So more machinery. I just heard you mention that. So you're improving some equipment at the embassy. Is that like because of COVID, or it was actually in plans?
No, the equipment that we use. What an embassy is an embassy is an extension of the rest of government. Right. So we have different government departments that bring services from there and put them in the embassy. Then the embassy becomes a proxy. So most of this machinery doesn't actually belong to the embassy. It belongs to a home government. Okay. If it's passports, if it's national IDs. So the NERA is the owner of the equipment.
Okay, yes.
Periodically, they come and they're supposed to come and service it. But during COVID, so many things could not happen. And they've had backlogs of different kinds. So, but we recently, if you were following the Ndagamuntu
campaign,
we had a team come in from NIRA, and they'll be leaving us with some machines and sending us some more.
Okay. So now you're starting to answer some of the questions that I know people ask all the time. So, but anyway, so let's get straight to it. I know our time is limited here. You have to get back to work as well. Let's talk about national IDs. Now, you just mentioned the Ndangamuntu is the national IDs, right?
That is correct.
Yes. So how has the campaign been going? What challenges have you guys met so far in the process?
So in terms of how it has been going, I would say that this was a particularly successful campaign.
Okay.
Because in general, given the work culture of people in the United States, it's not often easy to mobilize numbers of people to just come and sit and wait, because people work, some work different shifts, day shifts, night shifts, some work overtime on weekends. So for somebody to give up a day to come, and line up means they really want a service.
Right.
And, the report that we received was that we had done over 200 people, which, given that we only visited a few states,
right,
is a pretty good number.
Yeah. Are you planning on extending to as many states as you can? I know different campaigns are going on right now, but in a few states. How is that approach going to be going forward?
So what I can explain about this, it's not normal for the embassy to move.
Yes, it's a new thing, a surprise actually.
It's not normal for them to move. It is the people that are supposed to go to the service center. So when you have a situation where a service center is moving, it can be logistically expensive. It's a very expensive exercise. So it's not our natural way of doing things. However, we have come to a point in the rollout of the national ID in Uganda where they've covered so many people and very few have been covered in the diaspora. But the demand for it remains the same. And the understanding of it is pretty limited. So in doing this, we are trying to do an outreach and education service. It's not necessarily just about the ID, but the understanding of it. And we do it as and when resources allow. So it's not a permanent state of being, because every time we do that, we have to shut down the main embassy,
right?
Which is not sustainable. So periodically, we may do outreaches, but for this one, we did because we had the assistance of NIRA. So we had extra hands to help us, extra machines. So with the extra machines, they could move, but we didn't have to shut down at the embassy.
Okay, that's great.
I'm not able to tell you right now which is the next state. No, I'm not able to tell you. But as we are able to do it, we shall announce.
Yeah, great. What states are you currently doing? I know there's Washington, there's California. Any other that maybe if somebody's watching might like to know?
We've finished the United States for this season.
Okay.
So we did Minnesota, California, Washington, D.C., New York City. And now they've moved to Canada, where they'll be doing a couple of cities there, I think 3 of them. But the registration, the enrollment, and the return of IDs continues in Washington, D.C. Yes.
Okay, that's good.
On Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, okay.
Yes, by appointment.
Okay, via appointment. Yes. Tuesdays
and appointment link is on the website of the embassy.
Okay. I'll try to put all these things in the description. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, you said by appointment only.
By appointment.
Okay.
If they find that it is blank, it means that there is full. And actually, very many people have been, going in and booking appointments. Actually, if as we go ahead, if we open more days, we're going to open more slots. The moment we get more machines, we'll be able to even go backwards and open more slots. But for now, between now and Thanksgiving, it's actually quite full.
It's quite full. Okay. Now, once after somebody actually applies, how long does this take? It's one of the questions people were asking. How long does it take for somebody to get their IDs?
So that's a very good question. What I'd like to clarify here is that the IDs are not manufactured in DC. What DC is, it's an enrollment center. It collects the information and forwards it to Kampala. Now, the determination of time is dependent upon how much information an applicant has been given. It also matters if there is information in the system before you. And this probably would make more sense if we had started by talking about citizenship.
Yes.
To enroll for a national ID, you have to prove citizenship. And there are many people living in the United States who are now former Ugandans but are not aware of it. They have acquired US citizenship. They're not aware that in acquiring it, they have thrown away their Ugandan citizenship. So you have to be sure about your citizenship. Now, who is a citizen? There is a law on that. There is an entire law. There's so much information on the website, but to be a citizen of Uganda, you have to be able to produce a birth certificate. And for purposes of national IDs, you should be able to produce the national ID of one or both parents.
Oh my God. So what if the parents died?
So there is a way to go about that.
Actually, that was one thing I saw somebody asking. Like I can never find my parents' IDs.
Yes. So there is, and we understand that about people in the diaspora, especially. But there is, there are ways around it. There is what is called an Elsi Letter. For many people, unless you have completely cut off ties from Uganda, completely cut off those ties, which then would surprise me for someone then looking for the national ID, is that one of the things that they would want from you is an address. Most of what you're providing anyway is addresses, because they're establishing who you are. So in that case, every time you talk about an address, an Elsi has to come into play. So there's the option of acquiring an Elsi letter. An Elsi attests to the knowledge of you, or will attest to the knowledge of a parent. So they passed away. In phase one in 2015 of the national IDs, because many people didn't have foundational documents, it was Elsi letters that were being used. That's why it's very rare to find someone whose parent doesn't have one, unless they were deceased by the time this rolled out. If there is completely no parent, this person has no Elsi letter, which I would find strange. There will be, maybe you could find that they have a sibling, maybe who's in Uganda, an older sibling who got the ID. That sibling can be recorded as a guardian, and then on the basis of that information, a profile is built for this individual.
Now, what do you mean by that? Let's say, so like, I would just use my example, like me. So both of my parents are deceased. And then, so I have my brother back home. So what do you mean he can be recorded? What does that mean?
If he already has a national ID.
He has a national ID, yes.
Yes, it was issued on the basis of certain information. And your siblings. So that information can be shared. There is a section of the form where he can be put there to stand in for you. And then on the basis, because what happens with the national ID is it builds what is called a family tree. So if a parent is already in the system, it becomes extremely easy for the National ID Registration Authority to do a background check on some of the things that you're claiming in your enrollment form. Because what happened in 2015 and onwards, when phase 1 took place, is that parents were asked to name their children. So if your parent is already in there, then your name is in there. So when you now come years later and you're enrolling and you claim so and so is my parent, and you have a copy of their national ID, the information the parent put in is verifying what it is that you're saying. So there is a connection between the two of you.
Right.
So it builds that family tree. So such people, their IDs come out faster.
Oh, I see. I see. Now, does I know the section of that form, does let's say my sibling have to be physically available, or they can actually just, how do they go about it?
In the diaspora, we are not expecting your sibling to come.
Right.
We're expecting information.
Okay.
So what you will be asked for is a copy of that sibling's national ID, because that sibling has existing information.
Exactly.
And the idea is consistency. Is what your sibling claiming also similar to what you're claiming?
Okay.
Yes.
That's great.
Those are the things which take time.
Yeah, those are the things.
Check that for each and every person who's saying, I don't have, it takes some time. So that's why some ideas take long to come out.
That is true. That is very true. Because I'm thinking, my gosh, like some of this stuff I also had no idea. And that's why most people ask, because, it's different for each person.
Yes.
Some people have the documents, some people don't. So how do you go about this?
Some people even submit false documents.
False documents.
Yes, especially birth certificates. It's a very common thing. There was a time when a birth certificate could be got from NASA Road and used for a long time. And now, because most of what this system does is it does verifications. Because the system which issues a national ID is the same one which issues birth certificates.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So because so Margaret, here's the thing. I remember my first birth certificate was a tiny piece of paper which was issued by a nurse.
Okay, so that is not called a birth certificate. That is called a birth record.
That's a birth record.
Yes,
okay.
That birth record is what actually you are supposed to present to the NIRA. At that time, it used to be a Mamo house, I think.
Yeah, somewhere in town. I remember when I was doing my HSC, we had to present a longer birth certificate.
A longer one, yes.
Yes, okay.
So when you give it you exchange it for an actual birth certificate. It is a birth record.
Okay.
And now, for many people, and I know there are probably many who are listening right now who don't actually have a birth certificate.
Yes,
there will always be a birth record. Even if you were not born in a hospital, if your parent reported your birth to what was at the time called a gombolola, there will be a gombolola. I don't know. It's like a small card like this. Once it is written there, even if you are not there, you give somebody powers of attorney, a third party, 5,000 shillings, that birth record. They fill out your form for you at the NIRA and they pay. The birth certificate will be issued for you.
That's interesting. That's really, really good to know. I hope if you're there and you're watching, I know so many people will be watching this, because I know people have said, Brenda, please do this, please do this. And I kept saying, you know what, Margaret is so busy. And I had been in touch with the ambassador, but his schedule is crazy.
Yes,
so I think this is going to be very, very helpful information. And you guys who are watching or who will be watching this, if you have any more questions that you cannot find answers for on the website, send them to me, send them in comments. I'll compile them, and maybe we'll get another chance to, maybe we might do like every other month meeting with Margaret, and so she can answer some of your questions. So because we want that public relationship to build. That is like one of my goals. I want like the embassy to be friends with us.
And for us, we want people to stop calling in and spending 2 hours on waiting to ask one question.
Yes,
we can give the
I think
answers
it saves
here
everybody
now.
time.
They will not need to call in.
Yeah, they will not need to call in. So thank you. That is great information on those IDs. Now, is it the same thing as the passports? Some of us came here, it's been how many years? Of course, our passports have expired. So let's first tackle. So how do I renew my passport? I know there's information on the website, but I've also read that, we're now transitioning to different kinds of passports. Now, how do I go about it? Is it the same procedure?
Okay. So, Brenda, if you don't mind, maybe let's first talk about citizenship.
Okay, yes. Let's talk about citizenship.
Let's talk about
yes.
citizenship.
Am I still a citizen of Uganda, for example?
So, are you still a citizen of Uganda? Do you have, our question to you would be, do you have a second citizenship besides the one that you were born into?
Yes, I do.
So if you have acquired it, and right now we're in the United States, so I'm going to talk about the United States.
Yes.
To become what is called a naturalized citizen of the United States, you have to swear an oath. Am I right?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And I'm going to repeat here the words of the oath that Americans naturalized.
Before you even go fast, so let me tell you a quick story.
Yes.
So recently I was traveling to South Africa and those other countries. And you have no idea, I looked for my Ugandan passport. I was looking for it. I dug everywhere. I dug in my safe, So my husband is like, but Brenda, are you sure we didn't give this passport in? I was like, what do you mean, to who? It's like to the when you were swearing in to be an American. So I started remembering. I looked for the paper where I wrote all the documents that I needed when I applied for United States citizenship. And yes, they took away my renewed Ugandan passport. It was one of the documents that you have to hand in.
Hand in, exactly.
So here I am. Yes, you really give up your Ugandan citizenship. I remember the time I met you and you were laughing at me. You're like, Brenda.
You're like, you didn't know what you had done.
You're like, Brenda, like, you don't know what you're starting a new chapter here. So we'll have to talk some other time about your Ugandan citizenship for now.
Yes.
So let's talk about this, because so many people, I am sure, have no idea what happens after you get a different passport.
Yes, many people do not understand what that oath means. And these are the words of the United States Oath of Allegiance. It says, I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen. Those are the first words of the oath. The first words of the oath are that you renounce your old citizenship. It is you throw it away. You say no longer, and you take on this new one. And part of what they do, but they don't always do it, they'll take your old passport away from you and they will send it to us.
So did they send you my passport?
They likely did, because we received them. I would not know off the top of my head.
I know.
We do receive batches of them for the people that hand them in. Now, there are individuals who don't hand it in.
Oh.
So because they'll say, because the USCIS didn't ask me for it, so I didn't hand it in. But you saw the oath and you renounced. The fact that you still hold the passport does not mean anything at that point in time.
I see.
So most people don't know that. And I guess because it hasn't been enforced by the United States, also because the United States accepts dual citizenship and probably understands that you will need this passport in order to pursue your dual citizenship.
Okay, that's why it does
take it away. So if you swore the oath of allegiance of the United States of America, you need to go back and look at, study your current status. Maybe Ugandan in your heart, but you actually have sworn something that says you are not. So this is what we do. The law, the citizenship law of Uganda, allows for dual citizenship.
It does.
So what it allows you to do is to re-register.
Okay, re-register.
So you reapply to be a citizen of Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
And you attach a million things the same way you pursued the other one.
Oh my
And you
God.
went and you did an interview, you did a test, you paid a lot of money to get the other one. So the Ugandan one, they ask you, okay, can you attach this, even attach a certificate that says you have sound mind, because we don't want you later to say you didn't know what you were doing. Because even the oath of allegiance, people claim they did not know, but you have sound mind.
Yeah,
And
they were high on something.
The reason
yeah.
why Uganda does not give dual citizenship to children.
Yeah, because they don't know what they were doing and committing
to know what you are
at that
asking
point.
for.
Yes.
Because citizenships come with rights and obligations. So it is a very, very serious thing to claim a citizenship. So if you are a child and somebody else does it for you, it comes with certain obligations. So we would prefer that somebody pursue it when they know what they're pursuing. So you can go in under the e-visa platform and apply, reapply for Ugandan citizenship. And when you reapply, it takes maybe about a month. It depends, by the way, most of these applications, it depends on what you have attached. If you skip things, if you answer questions carelessly, if you basically every application is considered on the strength of its own merit. So if you do things properly, it will come out faster. If you make errors, it will take longer. But we usually, it takes between a month and 3 months. The Citizenship Board sits and considers the applications before it. If it's okay, then they'll send you an email confirming that you're a citizen. You've been admitted to citizenship of Uganda.
Okay.
By descent, in the application, it will ask you, are you just married to a Ugandan and now you're filing? Were you a former citizen? Former citizens are the ones who went and got a second citizenship.
Yeah, so like Brenda right now.
Like Brenda right now. But you would be claiming for citizenship by descent because you were born.
By descent.
So you go in there now. If you're a citizen by descent, it costs less money.
Okay.
Once it is cleared and you get your approval, they'll send you a link to pay. It's $200.
Okay.
All the other kinds of citizenship, they cost different.
Yeah, they cost a different amount.
Most cost more. But for former Ugandans, it's $200. Then
this is gold information right now.
Yes. Then once that has been done, once you have paid, you have 12 months in which to present yourself to the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control in Uganda.
Oh.
Yes, prior to this, all of this you will be doing online. But once you have paid, you have 12 months to present yourself before the board and have your biometrics taken, that is your fingerprints and your retina and your photos. And then they give you what is called a dual citizenship certificate. There have been times when the board moves. There are some UNA.
Yeah, that would be very, very helpful, honestly.
But the board can sit right there and clear you.
Yeah, I mean, is that something that will ever be a possibility, whereby the embassy can actually do that for the citizens living abroad, regardless of America or anywhere else?
I will tell you that it's being actively considered.
Okay, yeah, because, I mean, if you think about, I know, they say, if you want something so badly, you're going to pay for it. So this is like a trip to Uganda where you have to go claim for that. I'm wondering, is that why most people have not actually gone ahead with this process? The things that come with it.
No, I think most people don't know that they are not citizens of Uganda. They don't know, because once you tell them that, they spend precious time arguing against it and claiming that the government of Uganda is taking away their rights, possibly because they haven't realized what they swore to the United States.
I see.
So yeah, most of the time they do not. And most of the time anyway, nobody's really thinking about it until they need something.
Yes, until they need it. Yeah, we're last minute people. Like, I want it now and now. Here's the time. Is that your insurance, guys?
No, these are the scammers. These are the scammers.
So a friend here says, Isaiah Noah says, hello, Brendan Margaret, did you apply for dual citizenship? I haven't applied for it yet. And I believe Margaret is, she's a diplomat. So she works with the Ugandan Embassy in Washington. So she's Ugandan. I don't think she can start being American. Otherwise,
I'm not American. I have
they'll kick her out of the embassy, because I believe you have to be holding a Ugandan passport to serve there, right?
Yes. No.
No.
To be a diplomat, you must have a Ugandan passport. But to work at the embassy, you don't have to be a Ugandan.
Yeah. Okay. So so that answers your question, Isaiah. But this is great information. This is Africa says, I got to see if the Kenyan embassy will do this for me instead of having to go all the way back to Kenya. So it's not only Uganda that does this.
No.
I'll
explain. What most people do not know is that the entire, what you're seeing happening with national IDs, with the change in the passports, that is an East African community process. It is happening simultaneously in all the East African community member states. So the Kenyans are going through it, the Tanzanians are going through it, the Rwandans, the Burundians, the South Sudanese are all going. The same thing is happening across, because this is a decision in the EAC trying to become a federation. So the first thing that has to be done in order for free movement of persons to happen within the EAC borders is that they have to establish identity.
Okay.
And in the East African community, there were some countries that had national IDs and others did not.
Yes.
Uganda was among the countries that did not have.
Oh, which one? Uganda?
Yes. Can you remember having had a national ID?
No. All I remember having an ID was Makerere University ID.
Yes. So at the summit level of the East African community, it was determined that each of the countries must be able to identify its citizens before they can be allowed to move freely. So right now, yes, there's free movement of persons, but the documentation is important. So this is a process that began way back in 2015, which has been rolled out over, and then there's been extensions requested for, we are not ready, then they extend a little bit like that. But yes, it is happening in all the countries, depending, of course, on the level of preparedness of the different countries. Some have machines, others don't, because each country is supposed to finance its own processes. So, and of course, some countries have more embassies than others. So you'll find Kenya has more embassies than Uganda. Uganda may have more embassies than Rwanda. So it depends on where people can find the service. But for most people, because they're hearing about it now, why? Because we are drawing to the close of the process. Whenever things are drawing to an end, people become more sensitive because there is a deadline looming.
There's a deadline, yes.
So this is not new. This has zero connection with politics. It's got zero connection with countries which hunting each other. All we have to do is look around or just call our nearest EAC friend, call your Rwandan friend, call your Tanzanian friend, call them and find out if it is not happening.
It's the same process.
It's the same process.
Yes. So Isaac, Noah here has a statement or question. When you get dual citizenship, does that mean I think you have to own two passports, right?
That is correct. You don't have to, but you can. So when you have dual citizenship, your dual citizenship document now becomes your new birth certificate. Let me put it that way, in order to get Ugandan documents.
Okay.
Because everything that you had prior, you renounced. So to be able to legally use whatever you have, let's imagine you already had a national ID or you have a passport you never handed in, to be able to use it legally or to be able to renew it, you now need to produce the dual citizenship certificate. So your foundational document is the dual citizenship certificate, which now takes us to the renewal of passports. So you let me know when I can talk about that.
Yes. I think it might be coming up next, because I was wondering, okay, so if let's say I'm one of those that didn't give in my Ugandan passport, right?
Yes.
So, and I am planning to travel, or I decide to travel to Uganda.
Yes.
And at the airport, I would like to use my Ugandan passport, that Ugandan passport that I didn't turn in. Am I in trouble?
And it's valid. It still has days on it.
And it's valid, yes, yes. So am I able to enter on that passport?
So you may be able to enter, but it will flag you. And the immigration, you may have had stories, maybe friends or maybe read on social media, somebody claiming, oh, at Uganda immigration, they took my passport. I don't know if you've had some of those stories. So the immigration officer will ask.
Is that at the airport?
At the airport.
Okay.
The immigration officer, let's imagine it's at Entebbe Airport.
Yes.
Will ask you, do you have a second citizenship? Why? Because you will be attempting to enter Uganda. You have a second one, or he may see that you're trying to come in, but you don't have an exit stamp of another country. So he's wondering where you're coming from. So he'll ask you, or she will ask you, where are you coming from? I'm coming from the USA. Are you a US citizen? Yes. You don't have a visa in your Ugandan passport.
Yeah. Oh, a visa for the USA, like when.
No. You don't have a visa in your US passport. So at that point, you whip out your Ugandan one and you say, no, because I have the Ugandan one, I'm entering with this one. So he'll tell you, where is the bridge document, the dual citizenship certificate that allows you to go there. If you don't have that, then it means you haven't regularized your status. And something about passports, which most people don't know, a passport belongs to the government that issues it. It's actually not yours. So what you have as a US passport, that's not your passport. The United States can withdraw its passport from you. And Uganda can withdraw its passport from you because it is the property of the government. So if the immigration officer considers that you have abused the privilege and you're attempting to falsely utter a document, in other words, you're trying to claim to be a Ugandan citizen by waiving this passport, he can withdraw it from you and demand that you prove that this privilege, because a passport is a privilege, but it is also a right, but only for citizens.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So he can withdraw it.
That makes so much legal sense. So much legal sense, because I know people who do that stuff. So just a precaution, my dear friends, if you're watching, yes, sometimes we play around with the law.
Yes,
and it
don't
depends.
test the system, because you may game a system 4 times and get caught on the 5th. And to utter a false document is a crime. Most people don't even realize that. It is criminal to utter a false document.
So guys, actually, this is not just information about Ugandan citizenship. I think this is like the East African. I see my friends who are watching, like, this is Africa, is American, but he's also Kenyan, you know, so he's trying to ask about like the Kenyan citizenship as well.
He has to check the law for Kenya.
For Kenya.
Because different countries have different laws and different conditions you must fulfill. For Kenya, it may be automatic that you simply retain. For Uganda, it is not. So he needs to make sure he checks. He should not go by what Uganda is saying.
Right.
Doing. Yes.
Or what Rwanda or Burundi is saying.
Yes.
Okay. So this is Africa. So this is something I have never heard before. The bridge document. So this is like the, you know, like the dual citizenship certificate.
That's
is something worth knowing, but knowing, not just having. I think it makes sense. Yes. Agreed. Very helpful. This is my friend in Colorado. Liz, do you hear that? You know, I know soon you will want that dual citizenship thing. So let's see. Jero here says, well, explain.
Can I say something else that most people don't know?
Yes.
The same way you must study the law of Uganda when you're seeking to reestablish yourself as a citizen, is you also have to know the conditions of US law. The conditions of US law is that when you have their citizenship, it takes precedence over others. The other thing about the US passport is, by law, you can only use a US passport on a US international border. So to enter the United States and to exit it at any border point of the United States, you can only use their passport.
That's correct. That's very correct. Yes.
You can use the other ones to enter elsewhere, but if you're a U.S. citizen, you can only enter the United States as a U.S. citizen and can only
That's
exit
very
it
correct.
as such.
And you can
So
only
you have to
exit
know
it.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. Unless you're exiting and not coming back to that country, then you can exit with your Ugandan passport from, let's say, Washington,
And
but then
the
coming
United
back.
States will likely interpret that as a decision of yours.
Yes.
To renounce its citizenship.
Thank you, Margaret. So Jeros here says, well explained, Nayabambi, getting a passport in Uganda is still tedious. Let our government try to simplify things for us. Now, Jeros, if you can explain how tedious it is, like, honestly, it's not just the Ugandan passport, in my opinion. Even getting like a US passport here.
I was about to ask you that how many weeks
you should see the documents that you had to get. I mean, of course, the process might be quicker after you get all those documents, but you still have like a whole line of documents that you have to print out. You know, like maybe 20 documents. Your state ID, which is your driver's license, and it has to be valid. And of course, you should not have committed any crime before, things like that. They look at those as well. And so it's a continued process from the time you actually fill out those forms or you apply to be a citizen. It's a whole bunch of documents that you have to submit. And then after you even swear in, now you start applying for the passport. So applying for the passport also has a whole line. I think it's about like 15 documents that you have to submit.
And Uganda will not ask you for 15 documents.
So I think where it becomes complicated for like Ugandan side of things is you being able to get those documents, like maybe accessing the Elsi person, I don't know.
You no longer need an Elsi person.
Okay.
So I really I'm curious about the comment that it's complicated. But I'm very curious because
like tedious, yeah. Jeros, tell us, because I know you're from Barara. So how is it the process for you guys? I mean, you're on ground, so you could tell us. Here, Margaret is dealing with us, though I know she has a big best still on how things are happening back in Uganda, because this is just an extension of the government. This is what the embassy is. So it's an extension of whatever is the process is in Uganda is an extension of how these guys are doing it. They don't just change because they're in the US. Maybe they might change on things like by appointment, just because of the feasibility of like people's accessibility from different states, far driving. So they might implement some new changes, but the rest of the basics, I think it's from back home. Is that correct, yes. Margaret?
That is correct. So the online application, there is one website worldwide to apply for a Ugandan passport. And there are questions to be asked. Now, the thing about the passport is a kind of secondary confirmation of your citizenship. So if I'm correct, when you're getting US citizenship, they even interview you and test you.
Yes, they do.
Why do they do that?
I mean, well, I would just say because of like what they ask you. They ask you to make sure you actually are following what's happening in that country. Are you actually are you an American? Have you been staying in America? So they'll ask you things about maybe your leaders. Who is your state person representative? So it's those questions. They test your history about like knowledge about the country.
Yes.
So yeah.
Because they don't want you to treat it as something cheap.
Yes, lightly. Yes.
Mm-hmm. They don't want you to take it lightly. So it really is the same world over. A passport is a very important document. But I'll just go over some of the questions that frustrate people.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, we shall consider for whose benefit are these questions.
Yes.
When you are, it is assumed when you are in Uganda that you first have a national ID, then you use it to renew your passport. Of course, since the rollout of national IDs was slower than the renewal of passports, sorry, I had to send that. Since it is slower, especially people in the diaspora, were allowed to renew their passports without national IDs if they could present a copy of a national ID of somebody that's referring you. You have to have a referee.
Yes.
Who is a proven national of Uganda. So there has to be someone who has a national ID who's speaking up for you, since you don't have anything. You don't have a national ID. So the questions that are asked, they are going to ask you where your parents are born. If they are not alive, they were born at some point in time. They will ask you where you were born, and they'll ask those details. Now, it will give you options so that at least as a Ugandan, you know that my town council is this, my county is this, my sub-county is this, my village is this, my parish is this.
Yes.
Now, where is the burden in knowing a chikukwatako?
Right.
Waived. For those who don't understand, where is the burden in knowing your business? Because all the questions that are being asked are your business. It is your responsibility as a citizen to know these things. So as you're going through all of this, you have to know and locate where you are. When you are voting, you vote according to polling station. So you must know where your parish is. You must know where you're this, you're that, you're the other. You have to know these things. So it asks you all of those. By the time you are done, I assure you, you're feeling very Ugandan.
Right.
So you make that submission, and then for the people in Uganda, they make an appointment online, and then they go to the nearest passport office. There are different passport offices now around the country. But in the diaspora, because the understanding is you don't even have a valid ID, so you can't travel, they have rolled out certain passport centers around the world. Right now, there are 3. There is Washington, D.C., Pretoria, and London, but they want to roll them out to 7. So since you cannot, and you know the geographical layout of the United States, it's not that you're going to flag a cab and say, take me to the embassy. You cannot do that if you're wherever you are. And our embassy here, we don't just cover the United States. We cover South America. We cover the Caribbean as well.
Oh, the Caribbean as well. Oh, yes. I see. That's great.
And for people outside of the borders of the United States who hold a Ugandan passport, they cannot enter the United States.
Of course.
They have come for a physical interview at the embassy. So what embassies were allowed to do is we were given a kind of template to do an interview over the phone. So what happens is once you have filled out the full application form, printed it out, you mail it into the embassy with your receipts, your payment receipts, which is also done. Payment is done online. You mail everything, including the old passport, to us at the embassy. We do the clerical work on it. And then we expect you, because we assume that if you're going to deal with the embassy, you're going to go to the embassy website and read.
Right.
So if you read, you will see that the embassy is telling you to do your interview, fill out embassy interview record form, submit online. So when we receive your paperwork, we go online, we track your embassy interview record form, open it, and we call you over the phone using the phone number you provided. If we don't get you, we shall keep calling at different times. But most of the time, we have hundreds of passports we are processing at that time. So then we do the interview. And the interview is the same things that you're expected to have filled out.
Yeah.
So really, by the time you're done with what is being called a TDS form, you should know a lot about yourself and your background, because you've filled it out. You've taken the trouble, you've called people at home, you've asked, what is the sub-county? What is the county? So the immigration officer will be asking you these same questions over the phone. And if you pass, he will approve you for the for the passport.
For the passport.
Then we usually gather them in batches. What we've collected maybe over a 10-day period. A courier comes from Kampala. They pick the forms. We remain with the old passports at the embassy, and the forms are taken to Uganda, and the final processing is done in Uganda.
And the final, okay, it's done in Uganda.
And so is the manufacture. We don't have a machine that makes passports.
Now, is there a chance that will change at one point?
Yes, there is a chance that at one point it will change.
Okay.
It is really a matter of financing.
It's the matter of financing. Because, I mean, I look at, that should be a thing. Yeah. So most of these things, I mean, if you have, these are like my suggestions, like to the embassy. Like, if you can, I believe, it's fine. You can tax me for it. But at least the availability of those resources, whereby at least the embassy here could be able to easily print passports for us. You know, like.
So what you are doing now is you are appealing to the wrong party. Because, like I told you, remember when I told you the embassy, these are extension services?
I absolutely, yes.
So the party that owns all these machines and what are the ones that have to make that expenditure. It is not the embassy's expenditure.
I see. It's a different body.
It is a completely different body, the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control.
Wow.
So we carry out some of these activities on their behalf, but they are the authority on the matter. So when they get the budget, they feed their outposts.
Now, have you ever, because I mean, I'm sure these are the questions, these are the annoying things that we tell you guys, because it's you who we know. You know, most diasporan people just know the embassy people are just here, and these are their responsibilities. Like, we don't know the deeper third party, fourth party kind of details. Yeah.
But it's under consideration. I can tell you it is actively under consideration.
Okay. Yes. That's promising. Yeah, because like we would also love, like, as we want you to serve us diligently, you know, we would love to maybe give you our opinions, and you know, it helps to know that you maybe putting those opinions in place. So you're passing on that information to the other parties or to the government when you guys meet, and be like, is there a way that some of these things could change? Because I think they would also make your work easier, you know, like, whereby we don't have to call you after 2 months and we're still asking you for our books, and yet, you know, you could have just printed out those passports for us.
Yeah. Prior to that, we used to make passports here.
Okay.
But it was a different kind of passport. That's the passport that's being phased out now.
Okay. Yeah, the older passports. Yes.
Yeah, the new machines we do not have right now.
Okay. Okay. So you're talking about phasing away. So let's go to that topic, unless you still wanted to say something about, okay. So the new passports that I've seen, I think it was one of the thumbnails that I put on this video, the East African passports.
The East African community.
The East African community one. So I saw the blue and, you know, like the 3 colors, I think, for different categories of people. So Montua ones, like me, I think I would have the green one or the bluish looking one.
The ordinary is the sky blue.
The sky blue, yes.
The official is green, and the red one is diplomatic.
Is the diplomat one, yes. So this is phasing out. The older ones are phasing out. I know they were supposed to have phased out. I remember you telling me 2018. Yes, they moved the process. So now, what is the real deadline for those passports?
So the deadline, in other words, the last day that you can use it, is April 4th, 2022. However, most countries will request you for a passport whose validity after your last day of travel is 6 months. Now, between now and April is already 6 months. So chances are that if in your Ugandan passport, chances are that you will not get a visa anywhere, because worldwide it is known that passport, regardless of what date of expiry it has on it, is actually being phased out. Yes.
Okay.
So that's the reason why we've been, over the past 1 year, continuously reminding people, please send in your passports. Most people say, but I just paid for mine. I still have many years on it. That's all well and good, but the consequence of waiting until the last minute is that even your passport will be delayed.
Will be
So
delayed, yeah, because
many
there's probably
people
too many
wait
people.
until the last minute, and that is exactly what has happened. In the last 3 months, we've seen such a huge influx of people realizing the 6-month rule. And suddenly the passports were coming in hundreds, the passport applications. And as you've seen, even with the US situation,
yeah,
they shut down, and then when they opened, the backlog is now 8 weeks. To
yep,
get a US
yep,
passport is an 8-week backlog.
yep. It's really
It's
almost
the
like
same
3
thing with the
months.
Uganda
Yeah.
one. It's the same thing with the Uganda one. The backlog is now going to be around that long.
Yep. Yep. I remember when I applied for mine and I had a trip planned, I was like, oh my gosh, it was like close to 9 weeks before I got my US passport. I was like freaking out because it was getting closer to my travel time. So, yes, I think we need to plan better. So Jeros has a question here, or I'm not sure it's a question, but he says basically let them try to open more immigration offices in many districts. I fully understand the online system has tried to improve, but still you must physically go to immigration offices. I don't think
I
this is.
believe in. I could look that up, but I believe there's an office in Jinja. I believe there's an office in Jinja, one in Mbarara, one in Gulu, one in Mbale.
Yeah, because he's from Barara, so I'm trying. Okay, so I
And
think
Masaka, there is a Masaka office as well.
there's a Masaka office. Okay. So, Jeros, maybe you could look into it again, check with.
Maybe something else I could tell Jeros
Yeah.
is that when you're starting the application, it actually asks you where you want to pick up that passport. It asks you where you want to pick up that passport. And some people don't realize that if you have said you're picking it up in Jinja and you find yourself in Mbale, you cannot suddenly
Change
say
the
you want to
pickup
pick it up in
place.
Mbale. Yes.
So Noah says a lot has improved in Ministry of Internal Affairs of Uganda. Nowadays, you apply passports online. Nowadays, yeah, that's true. I think these are all. I mean, whether everybody can get to the online privilege is one thing, but I think we're heading in the right direction, I should say. Good to hear. Live in Portland. Let's see. Machine readable passports have been replaced by biometric passports. Yeah, I think that's what Margaret was just talking about. That's the deadline that is coming up next year, early next year. So if, let's say, I applied for it now, how long would that take for me to receive my passport? Again, it depends, of course. Let's say I put in all the right information. Like, let's go with like Mr. Right.
I am not even able to say that because
Yeah.
the difference is that right now you're submitting along with a million other people.
That's true.
So it simply takes its turn in line. You take your turn in line and it's first come, first served. For many people that are applying, they see the option of expedited. I want to explain something about that.
Yes. I remember somebody
explain.
asking.
You know the expedited function that appears on that app, on the website.
The website.
Expedited is the speed at which the passport is manufactured. It's not the speed of processing. In other words, if that person is in Portland, Oregon, okay?
Wow,
they have to do shipping and handling. If there is a query, even if you have paid for something to be expedited, if there is a query on it, your photo has a problem. The information you have submitted doesn't match the information on your national ID, or the information of your referee does not match what's on their national ID. Your NIN has a problem, or your names have changed from your previous passport. Some people submit and they haven't signed the form. By the way, 50% of the time people forget to sign the form.
Really?
Yes, people people get very excited and mail it without signing. So there can be any number of the Bazungu say there's many a slip between cup and lip. Many things, the best laid plans.
Yeah.
The difference is in Uganda, you're physically submitting your application at the window and doing your interview right there and then. So they give you a time there and then. Here, you're using the embassy as a middleman. And that is also how Kampala is communicating with you. It's communicating with you through us. There are times when we tell people, you've made 7 mistakes on your application, you must make a resubmission. And they've already paid, and then they take 3 weeks to make the resubmission or 3 weeks to send in the new photographs. And they paid expedited.
Yes.
It will not be expedited. So there's very little control over expediting that we can do. And so we advise on our website, if you're in the diaspora, do not pay for an expedited service because it's not possible to offer it to you.
Oh,
there are people that do pay for it, and then they request for what is called an embassy cover letter. So after we've processed you and done your interview and everything, the people will say, then after that, send my things back to me. I will send them to somebody in Kampala to submit. So for such people, we give you a cover letter informing that we processed you, we interviewed you, everything, and we then send the things back to you. Then if you want to use your third party, you use your third party. But at that point, that passport is no longer the responsibility of the embassy.
Of the embassy, of course. I see. Wow. Okay. This is very interesting. So I think, guys, we've covered the IDs. So is it okay to say I cannot? So right now, I don't have a Ugandan ID. Is it safe to say I cannot apply for my Ugandan passport unless I have the national ID?
So in Uganda, that is the case, but not in the diaspora.
Okay.
Because it's understood. And as you can see, we're even trying to promote
to improve it, to promote it,
so that people have everything that they need.
Yes.
But the bottom line is not everybody is going to have a national ID by the deadline of the passports. So what we do is that we say, if you don't have it, at least your referee must have it.
Okay.
And then we encourage you, do not lie. Do not try to renew your old one without getting the digital, your citizenship certificate, if you happen to have an American one as well.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. There's another question here. Let's see. I think we've really covered most of them nicely. It's the how long things. Yes, the invitation letter thing. So recently,
are we not talking about e-visa?
Yes, please talk about e-visa. Yes, please. Yes.
So an old law, and in fact, since Uganda became a republic, United States citizens have needed visas to visit Uganda. Now, the purpose of your visit, in Uganda, we categorize visas into tourist or visitor visa, conference visa, official or diplomatic visa, and student visa. We have those. Those are the ones we have. So if you are none, you have to be one of those. And the one which typically people will select, the visitor visa. But any of the questions that you ask at that point in time for the visa, any of the requirements that you need, you're going to have to read up on them. When you go in to apply, you're going to have to pick one of those,
right,
and then conform to the condition. You must respond to the condition that they're asking you for. I would like just to spin it. For those of you who had ever applied for a United States visa, did you get to call the embassy and argue with them about what they're asking you for?
Where? How? Yes.
Because that is what the rule is. And the rule is not aimed at you, Brenda. No. It is aimed at citizens that require visas to enter Uganda. Countries whose citizens require visas to enter Uganda. And by the way, most of that is by reciprocity. It's called the principle of reciprocity. It's for most countries that also require Ugandans to have a visa to enter theirs. There are some countries, and I will not name them here, but there are countries here where they have as many conditions as the United States has put.
Absolutely.
Uganda doesn't. So what are the basic requirements? Health documents, and then proof of where it is that you're going.
Yes.
You are a visitor, or you're a tourist, or whatever.
Where are you staying?
Where are you staying? The United States asks the exact same question to people who need a visa. So at that point in time, you'll feel indignant and you say, because you're not a Ugandan. How you feel, notwithstanding, you swore an oath, you renounced Ugandan citizenship, you picked up a second citizenship, and holders of that citizenship require an invitation letter. But let's now discuss what are the complexities of an invitation letter.
Yes.
From the callers, Brenda, what do they say is the complexity of a one-paragraph invitation letter from mommy or daddy or cousin, uncle, auntie, friend in Uganda? Where is the complexity of that email being sent?
I think it's not even the complexity. I think what I'm reading between the lines, seeing people's comments on that specific point is it's the mistrust. Is where what I could say. There's like this mistrust. I don't know if it's like people just put on a shield and not want to actually accept what is being done or the truth, or like trying to find out what the truth is about why things are being done that way. And it goes because I remember somebody made a comment and said, why do they need all that information? Like, why do they need information from somebody who's inviting you and all that? That's like how, we don't trust that information is going to the right hands. So
I mean, really, when we are submitting information to the US government.
Yeah, it's like people will know, like, this is how they're going to get information on, like, when you're arriving in the country and this and that, and then you will disappear, so it's...
Of course, because a border, an international border, is a security installation. I don't know if there is any country in the world where non-citizens just stroll in and out like they're going into a supermarket. You must be able to answer questions about yourself and your intentions, because you might be a good person, then the person next to you may not be.
Right.
And it is the responsibility of the Department of Immigration to control the border and protect it. The same way the US also has border control. At border control, they ask questions. If we are all going to quarrel and say, don't ask us to fill out that, don't ask me to put, when it's a pandemic, how can we put the address of where it is that we are going? So a visa is a security document. It technically should only be issued because it is an open window for somebody to walk into your nation.
Yes.
So really, people should allow us to protect our border as we know.
Yeah, as we can. Yes, I agree.
I'm sure their parents have no problem walking. I would think people should be happy that people can no longer walk up to a window and buy a visa and walk
and
into
just enter into the country. Yes, you would think so.
But if people are unhappy with that, then what they want is a state of anarchy, and unfortunately, we cannot remain that way. You can't do that in Kenya. You cannot do it anywhere else.
I agree. So this is a different question. This is Africa asked if he could ask. So he says, "Hi, Margaret. Earlier this year, there was an assault on an Ugandan citizen by an American staying in Kampala. Attacker filmed his crime. What are the proper steps in reporting him to the authority, and to which authority?"
Where was it located?
Yeah,
okay. The crime was in Kampala.
It was in Kampala, yes. And
so that a crime that is committed is reported to the nearest police station. Crimes are reported. They're called in. a crime is reported, there can be a citizen's arrest. There are a million ways, but a crime, and a crime, the longer you take to act on it, to call in the authorities, the more difficult it is to
I think this was my understanding. It happened. Somebody recorded it. Maybe it's now past how many months or which period of time people are starting to see this crime because it was filmed by an American. So maybe this other American, because this is Africa, is American, is wondering what are the steps in reporting such a thing to the authorities.
The nearest police station, and especially if they know where the person is located at the time, they report the crime.
Right. I also wonder what the immigration issue was. Okay, yes, that's responding. I agree. The protection process. Liam, there's so many psychos roaming around. Screaming really helps.
Yes, it does. Yes, documenting things really does help.
Yeah. So I think this. So let's see. This is Africa's, but this victim does not report it. But if the victim does not report it, then you can do it for them. I mean, I don't know. Do we have the evidence, or maybe let's say this is Africa. You have that evidence.
If you have the evidence and you report a crime, you see, the thing about prosecution is that the witness must be willing to speak. I see many crime shows here in the US on TV, and they fall flat. They fall flat because, let's imagine it's a sexual assault. If the person that was assaulted decides they will not talk, the case is
the attacker was the person who filmed his own crime and he uploaded it on YouTube.
Yeah, but it can be reported.
It can be reported. Yeah. To who? I don't know. It depends. Like, so if this person is back in the US and let's say this is Africa, you happen to have the video, for example, you were able to download that video before the person took it down. So I think that's strong evidence, especially if the person who did the crime is in that video.
Yes.
So it would be easy to pin that person down.
And if the person has a crime that makes him deportable, it can go into immigration. But the thing is that what I'm avoiding doing is making a determination on YouTube about what happened and processes, because I'm not a litigator, neither am I an expert in criminal law. So I can only say so much about what I know.
He held him in his compound, I guess, as well. I have the
I'm
videos.
not able to comment on this case. Let me
Yeah. I think this is beyond Margaret.
Beyond me.
Yeah, I don't think it's the embassy, case to even think of. And he brags about paying bribes. So I think what you could do is, this is Africa. You could try to contact maybe internal affairs.
Yes,
back
they
home.
have powers of arrest.
Yes, they can, if the evidence is looked at, and they can actually ban or deport that person from Uganda, because from the sounds of it, he's American and he's still staying in Uganda, even though he did this crime. So it's the Ugandan side of things now of the law to actually deal with this person. So I'm sure you could find a way of reporting that stuff to like internal affairs ministry.
Police is part of internal affairs.
Yeah, police.
They push it to the other department, which is also in internal affairs.
Yeah.
But here I'm not law enforcement.
Yeah. So this is beyond Margaret's hands. But good questions, good concerns. This is Africa. That's great that you care about our people, and it's all of us to try to kick such habits out of. That's our Africa. Sometimes we believe Americans are untouchable back there, but the law should always remain the law. So, Margaret, I think I want to say thank you so much. If there's any more things we'd have to cover, let's schedule another time for another month when you free up. But I think this was very informative. And if you're watching and you love this, please don't forget to like the video, share the video with other people, other Ugandans in the diaspora, in the US mostly, because that's what we're working on or talking about. People could get to know those answers before even reaching out to the embassy, those long calls. I think this video would be very, very helpful. Again, Margaret, yes.
Brenda, I'm typing the address of the embassy.
Okay, cool. Yes.
There is so much information. Let me just put an actual link. But something else I wanted to say is sometimes systems glitch, especially the payment systems. They glitch, especially on weekends. There is a help tab. There is a help tab on e-visa, for instance. And the e-visa, if someone sends in, there's that form, the help form. If you send it in on the next working day, you'll get a response. It's no use calling us on a weekend when Kampala is closed.
Yes.
To say you're in a hurry. The same way nobody is going to call the American embassy on a weekend to say, give me a visa. But during the week, if a system is glitching, and especially if you can say, take a picture, a screenshot and upload it in the help form, it helps the tech people at home to understand what the problem is.
Right.
But it also helps to not approach a system when you're already frustrated. So people usually, they go onto the system, having now usually found out at that point in time that I can't actually get on the airplane. They're angry.
Yeah.
You tell them apply for the visa, they approach the site angry. And they said, now why are they asking me for this and this and this? Then they go in there, and then the first time it doesn't go through.
I'm laughing because I know a friend. I know a friend who did exactly what you said.
Yes. And they want someone to speak to, and I think culturally for Ugandans, they must speak to somebody. Even when there's something to read, they must speak to somebody. So they will call until all the call lines at the embassy are jammed. And for our phone, even when it's busy, it sounds like it's ringing. They're not even picking up. But I want to put the website,
yes,
the embassy, the consular, where all these questions and answers are. Put the link there. People can go in and check, depending on what you want to find out. Is it national ID? Is it e-visa? Is it passport? There's so much information. What you do is don't rush yourself. Also, give yourself a comfortable 2 weeks before your travel in order to apply for a visa. It's different when you've lost someone and you must travel immediately. That's a whole different ballgame, but it doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
If in December you plan to go, please start applying in November.
Yes, even in October.
Yes. If you're traveling next week, don't wait until Friday evening to apply for an e-visa.
Right.
Be an orderly and responsible U.S. citizen. Most of the time, it's my brothers and sisters who have a problem with the system. Let me tell you the truth.
Yeah.
It is rare that the other Americans have a problem. Because usually they're not rushing.
No, they plan their things like months and months in advance.
Yes.
Even like shots, they make sure that the yellow fever shots are valid and all that stuff. So
yes, and don't call me or call Karen on the phone to tell her that you don't have a yellow fever vaccination. There's nothing she can do for you. When you call us to tell us what you don't have.
And now it's COVID. Yes.
You don't have it.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen people talking about the long, crazy COVID lines at the airports and things like that. Yeah. Yes. So
anyway. we will continue talking, Brenda. I appreciate very much the opportunity to talk to all your guests and for sharing your platform.
Thank you so much.
I hope I have not offended them.
No, you have not offended anybody. I think everybody just loved the information.
And factual as I can be. And parting advice is read. Read as much as you can.
Yes.
And you will not get frustrated by phones.
Yes, you will. Yes, I don't want to be on that phone for an hour either. So let's read, my friends. Let's read. Let's visit the embassy. By the way, kudos. I was so happy. Last night I was on the website of the embassy, and I loved it. Was very up to date. I have never seen anything like that. Like
Thank
every
you.
time I find like updates are from like 2020, but there was things from 26th, 27th, 28th.
Yes,
All the updates, all the exact tweets that are happening, all the investment news that are happening were on the website. I was like, this is amazing. So good job. Good job,
yes,
Margaret.
please follow us. Follow
Yes.
us on Facebook,
Mhm.
Embassy of the Republic of Uganda,
Yes.
Washington, D.C. Please follow us on Twitter, Uga Emba Wash DC. We
Yes.
try to keep you up to date. We really do.
Yes, and I'll put all the links to all the sites in the description of this video. You guys can find all the information, all the links there, and let's be responsible citizens. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
I am Margaret. Thank you so much, Ikazi.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate your time. Take care. Have a great weekend. And thank you, everybody who joined us today. All your questions, all your conversations in the chat section, in the comment section, very much appreciated. Thank you so much for your time. Until next time, stay blessed.
Thank you.
Bye, Margaret. Bye, everyone.